had my son, and it was something that really guided me throughout my life. And I still remember it today. And it's nothing splendid has ever been achieved except by those who dared believe that something inside of them was superior to circumstance. And so I've always kind of kept that as my guidepost, to either just rise above anything that I was ever going through.
It's Summer Owens, and I'm back with another edition of So What Success Stories. And that's the stories of people who have been successful in spite of any obstacles they have faced in their lives. And right now, I am super excited to be talking to my longtime friend, Jennifer Littlejohn. Jennifer and I met at the University of Memphis, I guess back in 1997, 98, when we met. She was a student leader, super active and involved on campus, super active and involved on campus. And I actually looked up to Jennifer a lot. You might not even know that, Jennifer. Looked up to her a lot as a leader and how vocal she was in the presence that you had, Jennifer. And I was active and involved too. I don't think I had that presence like she did. I was like, look at this woman, is she my age? It was awesome. And we became friends then. And then we've had a journey where we got to connect after we graduated. We'll talk about that a little bit more. We work for the Memphis Grizzlies. Today, Jennifer is a communications manager for Boston Scientific, and she has had an amazing career journey, which she'll share with us a little bit more. Jennifer.
Hey, Summer. Oh, all right. So Jen Littlejohn, I've shortened it. So, when you get older, you want to shorten your name. You don't want to have to keep saying Jennifer the whole time.
Okay, Jen. Okay, Jen.
Right. So, and I am, I am in a phase in my life where I'm just enjoying it. I'm growing. I'm more spiritually led than I've ever been in my life, and I'm loving it. I'm loving what God is doing for me, and I'm just enjoying, getting older, and that's pretty much where I am today. So communications professional, I have about 18 years of experience in communications. And under that umbrella of communications, I've worked in PR, marketing, business development, policy and advocacy. And I've had a host of opportunities over the course of my career. The latest two stints that people always love to hear about are Nike and Target. And now I'm with a company called Boston Scientific, and we make medical device parts. And so I get to lead communications on the global team and support all of the wonderful employees who make those products like hard stents and all different types of things that are in the medical room. So it's exciting. I always nerd out when I get these assignments, because as a communicator, we can go anywhere in the world, work for any industry, organization, work for ourselves. Even I've had my own business, and just apply the same methods. Communications really doesn't change. The whole thing is about connection. And as a communicator, I believe I'm a natural born communicator. I believe that was the talent that God blessed me with. And so I've been extraordinarily blessed to be able to use it in so many different industries, work with so many wonderful people, touch so many wonderful people, be touched by so many wonderful people. And I think that that's just been the highlight of my whole career journey.
That's awesome. Well, let's go back just a little bit. And I can't say if it was your first job, but I know it was my first job. I can't remember if it was yours, to the Memphis Grizzlies. So that Jennifer and I knew each other in college, but we really connected when we started working for the Memphis Grizzlies, the NBA basketball team, and had just moved to Memphis. And we were some of the first hires to work for the team. And we worked in sales. And I just think back to, we got our little credentials, our little badges. You remember when we went back on campus? We went back on campus, so we just proud to walk around like, yeah.
Yeah, with my beeper. Don't forget the badge beeper,
We were past the beeper stage. I think we're past the beeper stage, but it looked like it because I'm like, okay, look.
Oh, yeah.
We work for the Memphis Grizzlies. But I just remember that, and I remember just being proud of that and being proud to share that experience with you, who you were also, and we'll talk about this more too, but you were also a single mom, just like me, and a young mom. And, but we were doing it. We were working for the Memphis Grizzlies, the hottest thing that was going on in Memphis. And we, for me, at least, like I said, it was my first job, starting my career. And I know it was early in your career. So in this program, I have what I call the So What success system. And that's learning how to overcome obstacles, eliminate excuses, and calculate choices. And when you can do all of those things, I believe you can have so what success. And that's success in spite of anything that happens, any challenges that you face. And Jennifer, yeah, you are a so what success woman because you've had some challenges. And I personally know of some. And I know there are many others that I don't know about. You've implemented the So What success system without even trying, without even thinking about it. And so I just want to take a little bit of time and talk about it. So my first question for you is about overcoming obstacles. Talk about some obstacles that you've had to overcome to be successful and just how you've done that.
Yeah, absolutely. So as you mentioned, I was a young mom. I had my son as soon as I graduated from high school. And so, immediately I felt the need to hurry up and get through college, hurry up, get employed so I can, at least afford to be a parent. My son always attended private school. So I always had this urgency of trying to, find an opportunity so that I can, pay for tuition. And so with that, I think that I always had a matureness about myself, but I also kind of, I had to fight, if you will. So you talk about being resilient, but I also had to make sure that I was seen. A lot of times I found that when you're a young mom, or when you have any badge, you're wearing any type of badge, people discount you or dismiss you so easily. And so I really had to fight to be seen, fight to be heard. And, I had a quote when I had my son, and it was something that really guided me throughout my life. And I still remember it today. And it's nothing splendid has ever been achieved except by those who dared believe that something inside of them was superior to circumstance. And so I've always kind of kept that as my guidepost, to either just rise above anything that I was ever going through, any challenges, whether it was racism, colorism, sexism, rise above all the isms and get what I needed to get done. And so I think then too, just having a strong connection to God. I know who I am and whose I am. And I knew that I was always here for a reason and I had purpose. And so when you know those things, there's nothing anyone can take away from you, do to you, deter you or whatever, because I'm gonna get there. And you're gonna see what God can do. It's never been about me, Summer. Never been about me. And I've been in some great places, great opportunities, and you've been there too. So I know that God is holding us and keeping us because he's showing people it's not what you think. It's not about what you say they can do, because in spite of all of that, I still have use for them. And so for me, I've always had this, this incredible sense of connection and purpose. Guided by God. And I've always been able to rise above anything that's ever come my way. And that's just the God's honest truth.
I love it. And I love it. And I see it. I've seen it over the years in you. I felt it in your spirit, even when we haven't talked in a while, because we haven't. Just me seeing social media, I'm like, yeah, she's still the same. It's still there. And it's still powerful. And it's still powerful. And it's definitely still the absolute truth. I love it. I love it. So the next part of the So What success system is about eliminating excuses. And so we all have obstacles. We all have challenges. And we can all make excuses for not overcoming those challenges. We can all make excuses for not pursuing our dreams and our goals. What are some of the excuses that maybe you did make or that you could have made? And how have you eliminated those excuses so that you could be where you are today?
Yeah, so I always tell people that I wasn't raised in a high net income household. I came from a low to mid income household. My dad worked, my mom was a stay-at-home mom, and she put us in every program there was to be in. There was never an excuse because she was going to show up in the station wagon and drop all four of us off.
We had one of those station wagons too.
Look, we were going to get that training today. And so it was always, she put us in art classes, public speaking classes. We were in Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, all these different things. And so she made sure that we had exposure. And so I kind of knew early on the things that I wanted to do with my life. And so there were no excuses because mom always told us and taught us how to show up. I remember summer when I was 6 years old, I went to Hardin Academy. They had a school in Whitehaven. And went to Holmes Road Hardin Academy. And my brothers went to campus school. So it's quite a distance from the University of Memphis or Memphis State back then from Whitehaven. And so my mom said, I signed you up for piano lessons and you're gonna get there, but I'm gonna show you how to ride this bus. I was 6. So I rode a bus for about 35, 40 minutes all the way to the University of Memphis. And my mom would walk me up there. She told the bus driver she's going to Memphis State. Her brothers would pick her up from the bus stop. And that was it. So I sat at the front. They would watch me. Nobody messed with me. And I was in first grade. And so it's from there that I always had this, I gotta show up, because there is no bus, plane, train, whatever, skateboard, whatever it is that you have, you got to get there and you got to show up and you got to get to the table. And that's all I've been taught my whole entire life. And if you show up, you got to say something. And so I think that that's just been what was instilled in me early on. When I have, because we're all human, when I have made excuses, it's because my life just wasn't in order. It wasn't together. And I was juggling things and I didn't know how to do things. So I'm not trying to say that I've been perfect since 6.
Absolutely.
What I am saying is that, when I have encountered excuses, I've had to own that. And I've had to become more aware of how to mitigate those excuses, right? And so I think that those are the things that you have to be aware. And how you get aware is just being still. Sometimes you've got to sit still and get centered. And just pull back from life, from people, and just see what's out of order and then begin to put it back together again. And so that's really about, that's how I, mitigate excuses.
I love that. And I think that was super powerful, super scary, what your mom probably did. I bet it was just as scary for her, honestly, yeah. Right? We parents, we know that was probably scary for her too, but she felt like it was necessary. But it also probably instilled in you the took away your fear and put you where you are today, where you'll go, which is why you lived in so many different places and pursued so many different opportunities that a lot of people probably would have been afraid to do. And so you learned at an early age that you want to get there, you got to get there. You might be scared. You might be by yourself. You might not know exactly what to do or how to do it or how to get there, but you just go. I love it. I love it. Thanks, Mom. Thanks, Mom. So the next part of the So What success system is about calculating choices. So overcoming obstacles, eliminating excuses, and then calculating choices. You, lady, have made some choices. And probably, like, I was just saying, some scary choices or some uncommon choices. But you have made some calculated choices in your life. Talk to me about some of those choices.
Yeah, so the most important power that we have as individuals, as humans, I think, is the power to choose. And so I think that, as opportunities have come to me in my life, whether it's been personal or professional, I've always had the, power to choose whether to accept them or not. I think that where I am today, the opportunity to move to Minneapolis, I moved here last year. I began a conversation with Target, the company who brought me here, to support an amazing leader named Caroline Wunga. Caroline is the CEO of Essence Magazine and Essence Communications. And so I was attracted to this role or recruited to this role to write for her, which to me was going to be just a job or career goal of a lifetime, right? And so as soon as I got here, she announced she was leaving. And I was devastated because I was like, Memphis to Minneapolis? Are you serious? Like, who does that? Except for an opportunity like the one that I had presented to me. And so I quickly shifted and to get ready to support the next leader. And as soon as I shifted, George Floyd was murdered 2 miles away from me. And so I said, oh my goodness. It put me in a situation where I was working for a Fortune 500 company, hired to write for the Office of Diversity and Inclusion, supporting the Chief Diversity and Inclusion Officer with executive communications. And here it put her right in the center. So the new leader right in the center of what's my background? Social justice. And
all the way back to college.
So it put me, so I said, God, you have a sense of humor. You place me in an area where I would be needed and where I could use my talent and my skills to make a difference. And so if you see any messaging that came out from Target in 2020 around racial equity and social justice, my hands were all over it, praise God. And so I am thankful that I've had the opportunity to, again, be aware of the opportunities that have come my way and have the discernment to choose them and to trust that I was making the right decision, even when I didn't think, or I had some sort of uncertainty about that decision I was making. But God has always been good to me. He's been faithful to me in that regard. And so he's always found use for me in those places. And so again, choosing, that was just one choice I made to come to the city that I didn't know that where I would be needed. Now, I'm active in my sorority. I joined the grad chapter, Minneapolis St. Paul Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. And then also I joined Rotary International. So the Minneapolis chapter, where they're like, Jen, we've got to get you, we've got a board position. We want you to sit on a board. So all of these things are happening. I am a natural born leader. God has found opportunities for me to serve. And so by choosing here, he's opened up a lot of different lanes and places and things that I can contribute to, and give praise and just touch people and again, be touched. So again, it's just leaning to that power to choose and taking advantage of those opportunities, knowing that whatever you decide, God will bless you with it.
Jen, I just got chills when you were describing how what seemed like was an unfortunate situation, right? When you got there and wait, that's not what's supposed to happen. That's not why I came here. And some of us would get all messed up about it and mad, make our way back to Memphis. But you immediately saw God in it, like I would too, and the opportunity behind it. And it puts you right back, like you said, to the core of who you are.
That's right.
The core of who you are. And it takes me back to specifically the organization that I remember you standing out to me when we were in college was NAACP.
That's right.
Was NAACP.
Raised me. Yeah.
I remember that. And you have always been that voice. And no matter what career paid you, you've always still had that voice. And it's just a beautiful thing how God worked and orchestrated that thing for you and how you could see that. And I think that's a powerful lesson for anybody who may experience some disappointment or some things don't go the way that they thought they were supposed to go, because they ultimately looks like go the way that they are supposed to go. You just didn't know it. You just didn't know it. I think that is awesome. Okay, before I go to my last couple of questions, I do want to point one thing out to you and remind you of something that you might even remember. But Jen, you, I got to get used to that Jen. But I love it though. I love it. Yeah, we get older and we need things shorter, sweeter, straight to the point. You were one of the first people to support me when I decided when I decided to write my first book. And then secondly, when I decided to step out and be a full-time entrepreneur. I will never forget that you were one of the first people to support me in both of those efforts and in big ways, bigger than you even realize. And I appreciate that. And like I said, I won't ever forget it. It means a whole lot to me. It means a lot to me. So thank you for that. Thank you for that. And that's, I see God all over you and everything that you're doing. And you constantly remind me of that and God and me in my life. And of course I know, and I'm a spiritual person. I have a good relationship with God too. But it's all so good to be connected to people with like spirits, like minds, and that are driven and are passionate. And like you said, a born leader. And I love it. I love it. I love it. Just even watching on the sidelines, it's a beautiful thing to see. Now, here's the next question for you. When you learn how to overcome obstacles, eliminate excuses, and calculate choices, in my opinion, you can have so much success. And that is no matter what happens in life, how disappointed you might be, how unfair things might be, you can still be successful. But how do you personally define success?
Wow. I define success really and truly. That's a good question. To me, it's so personal. It's so personal. Success is so personal. A lot of people look, for success to be in the things that you have. I look for success in relationships. So, successful relationships, friendships, relationships with my family, with my son. I think that that's success to me. I think that waking up in your right mind, in good health and strength, that's success. I mean, it's all relative, right? And so I think that it's personal, but also I define success by the number of people you're able to touch with your life. In my life, Summer, I've, again, as you know and stated, I've had so many career opportunities, and it really has been because I've had a skill that is transferable. I can go anywhere, work for anyone, any industry, like I said. And young people who are listening to this, hone your writing skills. Writing takes you everywhere. It can take you so many places globally, locally, all over, nationwide, but hone your writing skills.
I can attest to that too.
Very powerful. And so I think just being able to touch the amount of people over the years, I've worked for some amazing companies, and I can tell you about somebody that changed my life at each stop. And so to me, or something that I've impacted at each stop. And so for me, that's success. And I define that in that way, I define success on my own terms. And I can always look back to my work. There's always some work of mine that I can see, or a program or something that I activated, or something that I wrote and employees said thank you, or speaking opportunities where I spoke to a church and I told them how at one of my son's schools, I had to write him a letter about how important he was to me. And so I encourage parents to write to their children, write them notes. And so I remember after I spoke, I didn't get a chance to speak to this man who came to me later on, but I was renting a car, and he said, "You're that lady." And I said, what lady? What are you talking about? He said, "You spoke in my church." And this has been a couple of years now. So I was like, okay. And I was trying to recall. And he said, "My wife was so impressed. She went back and she wrote all of our kids." And he was like, we never got to tell you thank you. But so to me, those types of things is my success. It's my imprint on society. And that's it. That's it. Simply put, that's it. All the people I've touched and all the people who have touched me.
I love it. I love it. And you know what? And the beautiful thing about even just that one example that you gave about writing that letter and this lady going back and writing it, had you not run into her husband, you never would have known about it, right? So there are a ton of other people who did it too that you don't know about, I'm sure.
Well, let me tell you, there's another piece to that. While we were sitting there, and he was signing me up, he lived around the corner from the house. So he told her, "She's up here." And so she came up here to shake my hand. So I was like, oh my God, okay. So, that's success to me.
I love it. And it feels good when you can know about that experience, when there's so many others who you won't know about. You have the same impact on them. But the bigger thing is, and this is something that I know from my own life and from my own experience, and what has really kept me going and pushing in what I do, is that, so she did it and she wrote it to her children. You don't even know the impact it had on her children. That's and right. What it'll have, the impact it'll have on her children's and the decisions that they make. And that's when you talk about impacting other people's lives, is you're going to see something immediate yourself, and then there's so much greater that you won't even see that you've impacted. And I love it. And I love it too. So I've been doing this now, it's 10 years since you supported me with that book. My first book has been 10 years. And I have a lot of stories like that. You spoke at my school when I was in the 7th grade, and now they're 17 years old, right? Or and then the same one, some of them have graduated from high school, even college, and I'm like, wait a minute, but I'm the same age. What is going on here? But I love it. I love it because I love how you measure success or how you define success, because I can attest to that too, and I think that's beautiful. And in that sense, and in any other sense, you have definitely been successful. You've definitely been successful. Here's my final question for you. What advice would you give to someone, and this could be a college student, young person, high school, young professional, even somebody that's, a little seasoned professional like you and I, what advice would you give to them if they want to see success, however they define success, but they're running into some obstacles? Give some advice.
Yeah, so one, if you are a praying person, keep God close. God goes and fights battles before you even show up. And so you don't want to go into any situation alone. So take a friend, and take the most powerful friend you know, and that's God, that's Christ. And so I'm a believer, and I have to say that or impart that onto anyone that I meet or see. So that's first and foremost. Two, have a sense of awareness of when you know who you are and when you know whose you are, you move differently, and you don't move like everybody else. And so you don't even see things like regular people see. And so you have to move like that. You have to have something about yourself, and you move with intention. Know where you're going, have a sense of awareness and purpose, that when you get to wherever you're going, there's use for you. And so that where you are being brought or led to is not for naught, but it is for a reason, because there's use for you there. So you have to be aware, you have to be focused, you have to be intentional about every person you encounter. So from the janitor to the person at the front desk to whomever, the person making the coffee, even if you are the person making the coffee, just be aware, be intentional of all of your movements and actions. Know that everything that you do, every choice you make has consequences. And so you just want to be able to move, knowing that you did everything that you could do in the right way. And if you know that, and if you do that, ain't nothing anybody can do, or nobody can stop you. Who's gonna stop you?
Mic drop, mic drop. I hear that. Aware, focused, and intentional. Aware, right. Focused, and intentional. I think that's beautiful. That is great advice. And I know anybody who follows that advice, aware, focused, and intentional, anybody who focuses that or who uses that advice can achieve success. Can achieve success, can have and do whatever they want. And then, of course, just like you, I'm a woman of faith, keeping God first. Thank you so much, Jennifer. That's right. That's right. Thank you. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. Thank you.